I'd like to share the story of my uncle Chaïm. Whilst it's one of great difficulty and sadness, it contains examples of the kindness of strangers, or light in the darkness, the theme of this year's Holocaust Memorial Day. This is Chaïm, the day he married my mother's sister, Renée, in Paris in 1952. This is also him, the chubby little chap in the front. On the left is his brother Hanina, who I also knew, their parents, sisters Sarah and Hinda, brother Shlomo, and his older brother Wolf. I'll be reading extracts from his account as told to his son, my cousin. So here goes. My name is Chaïm Messinger. Chaïm means life in Hebrew. I was born in July 1919 in Jerichów, a peaceful Polish town around 60 kilometers from Warsaw. I'm 4 or 5 years old. A communal kitchen has been set up next to the synagogue. It's funded by the Rothschilds. The Great War has added misery to a way of life that was already modest. Our family shares a house with my aunt. The bottom is in stone and the first floor in wood. The downstairs room is really a workplace, but it's cold in winter. Upstairs there are 2 rooms. Everyone lives, eats, sleeps and works in them. The children from 8 or 10 years old sometimes sew the buttons and buttonholes onto the clothes our parents make. In 1939, it's clear that war is coming. Many Polish Jews expelled from Germany come back. But we don't know what's really going on. We have no information. As war becomes a certainty, general mobilization is declared. In Warsaw, I volunteered to dig trenches in the town, and then, with police clearance, I find a truck to take me home to Jerichów. Jerichów is to the east of Warsaw, and people, especially those who live near the German border, are already heading east. People let these refugees sleep on their floors. They offer them food and water. They stay a day and then continue their journey towards the Soviet border. The house is always full. On the 1st of September 1939, Poland is invaded. The Polish army is no match. Her legendary cavalry can do nothing against the German heavy artillery. The Germans meet little resistance, and it's not long before they get to our village. In the beginning, the occupation is fairly non-violent, but then the exactions start. Acting on tip-offs from Polish delinquents, the Germans find girls and rape them. They come to our house looking for my sisters, but they manage to hide, and the Germans just steal a few clothes. I remember the screams of women being raped every night with horror. Jews are requisitioned for hard, menial tasks. They're rounded up in the street, denounced by Poles. A German soldier asks me in the street if I'm Jewish. I tell him no, and a passing Pole comes running over to affirm that I am. It's requisition time for me. On Tuesday, market day, a German soldier is killed in a Polish restaurant. The anti-Semites put the word around that it was the Jews. The Germans line up dozens of Jews all down the street. They're going to shoot them. Everyone's in a panic. Miraculously, some Polish dignitaries, including the priest, tell them it was the Polish nationalist resistance movement who are trying to blame the Jews. The men are released. My requisition comes through and my job is housekeeper to a young German officer. He's around 25 years old and not a bad sort. We talk. As I speak Yiddish, I can hold a reasonable conversation in German. Before being mobilized, he was an engineering student and he has no taste for war. At the end of a day's work, the German gives me bread and pickles, razor blades and cigarettes that I share out with my friends. An older NCO of the Wehrmacht encourages us to leave, saying the war would go on and on. Maybe he was trying to tell us that our situation would get worse. When I decide to go with some friends, some girls want to come with us. We hesitate going off like that, with the risks involved, destination unknown. In the end, they stay behind. Later, of course, we were sorry not to have taken them with us. Maybe a few of them would have been saved. Things are getting ugly. The Germans set fire to the synagogue and 5 Jews go in to try and save the Torah scrolls. The soldiers lock them in. We don't have much work. Life is difficult in spite of the kindness of people who are terribly poor themselves. We sleep in cinemas, churches, the synagogue. We're on the road again, heading east on foot now. The roads are terrible. We cross forests on empty stomachs. My boots make my feet bleed, so I wrap them up as best I can with cloths. I look like a beggar. We keep walking towards Kiev. We get there by the end of summer 1941. We sleep in public gardens. Once, when asking for work in a cooperative, a Jewish woman warns us not to stay, but she fills our bags with supplies. Kiev is being bombed, but we're used to that by now. We just wait for it to pass while the rest of the town is in panic. We decide to move on. As soon as possible, we jump on a ship bound for the south. We look for work, but a factory manager advises us to move on again. The Germans will be here soon. We take the train for Rostov. During the journey, people give us as much food as we need, but we're scared of being press-ganged for the coal mines. In the end, we get off the train at a kolkhoz, a collective farming village, and we're all brought together in the village square. The farmers come and choose, like at a cattle market. A family picks me out and I explain I'm with a friend. They're a lovely family with 2 children and an old babushka who lets us sleep in her bed. She says, as she's so old, it doesn't make any difference to her. My uncle and his friends move on until they reach Tashkent and are sent to a kolkhoz on the Afghan border. They will have traveled over 5,600 kilometers. My uncle made his way back to Poland in March 1946 and eventually arrived in Paris, where his brother Hanina was living. Hanina had survived Auschwitz. His wife and son, seen here, had not. Let me read one more extract. In 1950, I meet a friend from Zherehov. He tells me that my brother Shlomo was killed by guards as he tried to jump off the train that was taking him to Treblinka. He also told me what happened in 1943, at the end of the summer during Jewish New Year, the liquidation of the Zherehov ghetto. Some people are hidden by Polish Catholics, like the chemist, who manages to help without his 2 fascist sons finding out. Others join the resistance, hiding out in the forests. All the others are loaded onto trains in the conditions that everyone knows about now. My parents, my sister Sarah with her husband and baby, my sister Hinda, Wolf's family, he had died before the war, my aunt and uncle, their 3 sons and 2 daughters. Our family is decimated. It's just me and my brother Hanina in Paris, trying to rebuild our lives. Today, everything seems far away. There's no more revenge to be had, just a pain, an immense suffering that has to be borne to the end, and their memory. Today, I'm 80 years old. I think about them all the time, despite the 60 years that separate me from them. I still love them with all my heart, and I miss them so much.